My parents chose my sister over me every single day of my life. So I left a note and vanished. 4 days later, my sister found it. I know because she called me at 2 a.m. shouting into the phone. This isn't real. You're lying. None of this actually happened. But it did happen. Every word in that note was true. Every example I listed was a real memory. Every dollar amount was accurate to the cent. My sister screamed that I was making things up, exaggerating, playing victim to get attention. She told me I was delusional. That I remembered our childhood wrong. That our parents treated us exactly the same. I let her scream for 5 minutes straight before I said 4 words that made her go completely silent. Check your email, Madison. I'd sent her a file. 147 pages of proof. Bank statements. Text messages. Photos with timestamps. A spreadsheet tracking every birthday, every achievement, every moment they chose her. 3 years of documentation they didn't know I'd been collecting. When she opened that file, when she saw the evidence she couldn't deny, she didn't apologize. She called me back with something worse. And what my family didn't know as they sat together reading my note was that I'd already made sure they could never find me. Never contact me. Never explain it away. By the time they understood what I'd really done, it was too late to stop any of it. If you're watching this right now, drop a comment and let me know where you're viewing from. I want to know I'm not the only one who had to prove the truth because their family refused to see it. My name is Avery Mitchell, and I'm 27 years old. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, with my parents Graham and Nicole, and my younger sister Madison who's 24. From the outside, we looked like a successful professional family. My dad was a corporate attorney. My mom was a real estate broker. We lived in a beautiful house in the West Hills, took expensive vacations, seemed to have everything figured out. What people couldn't see was how I spent 27 years watching my parents worship my sister while I stood invisible beside her. Madison was the planned child, the wanted one, the daughter they'd prepared for. I was the accident that came 3 years before they were ready. They never said it out loud, but I felt it in every choice they made. Before I tell you about the note that ended everything and the evidence that made my sister realize I'd been telling the truth all along, hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real stories about forgotten children who finally had enough. These stories might help you see your own family more clearly. Growing up, the favoritism wasn't subtle. When Madison wanted violin lessons, my parents hired a private instructor who came to our house 3 times a week. $400 a month, no questions asked. When I asked if I could take guitar lessons at the community center for $50 a month, they said it was too much driving and I should learn from YouTube instead. When Madison wanted to go to a private prep school, they paid $24,000 a year without hesitation. When I asked why I had to stay in public school, my dad said, "Madison needs the structure and attention. You're self-motivated enough to succeed anywhere." What he meant was, Madison is worth the investment. You'll be fine without it. I got my first job at 13, dog walking for neighbors. By 15, I was working weekends at a sandwich shop. I saved every dollar while watching my parents hand Madison money whenever she asked. Gas money, shopping money, money for concerts and trips with friends. She never had to work for any of it. When college applications came, my parents hired Madison a private college counselor for $8,000 to help her get into the best schools. For me? They said I should just apply to state schools and I'd probably get in somewhere decent. They paid Madison's full tuition at a private university in California. $45,000 a year for 4 years. They paid for her apartment, her meal plan, her textbooks, her sorority dues. Everything. She graduated with 0 debt and a degree in communications. For me? They said I should do 2 years at Portland Community College to save money, then transfer to Portland State. They'd help where they could, which turned out to be $3,600 over 4 years. I worked full-time overnight shifts stocking shelves at a grocery store while taking classes during the day. I transferred to Portland State and worked 45 hours a week through my junior and senior year. I graduated with $36,000 in student loans and a degree in marketing. After graduation, Madison moved to LA to explore the entertainment industry. My parents funded her completely. They paid her rent in a nice apartment in Silver Lake. They sent her $2,000 a month for expenses. They flew down every other month to take her to expensive dinners and help her network. This went on for 2 years while she worked part-time as a hostess and took acting classes. I got a job at a digital marketing agency in Portland making $44,000 a year. I lived in a studio apartment in a rough neighborhood for $850 a month. The building smelled like mildew and my neighbors fought loudly at all hours. But it was what I could afford while paying down my loans. I watched my parents visit Madison constantly. Instagram posts from fancy LA restaurants. Photos of them at her apartment helping her decorate. Meanwhile, they came to my place exactly twice in 3 years, both times with comments about how I should have found somewhere safer or nicer. When my car needed a new transmission and I asked if they could lend me $1,200 for the repair, my dad said, "Avery, you're 24 years old with a full-time job. You should have an emergency fund by now. This is a learning opportunity." I put it on a credit card at 21% interest and paid it off over a year. That's when I started keeping records. Not because I had a plan, but because I was starting to feel like I was losing my mind. Like maybe I was imagining how different they treated us. So I started documenting everything. Every Venmo payment to Madison, I screenshot. Every text message about helping her, I saved. Every social media post gushing about her accomplishments while barely mentioning mine, I archived. Every birthday where her gift was extravagant and mine was forgotten until the last minute, I noted the date and details. I created a spreadsheet. I tracked every dollar they gave her versus what they gave me. I documented every visit, every phone call, every moment they chose her. I wasn't planning anything. I just needed proof I wasn't crazy. By the time I was 25, the numbers were staggering. My parents had given Madison approximately $420,000 over 10 years. College tuition, rent, living expenses, car payments, health insurance, credit card bills, funding her LA dreams. Everything. They'd given me $5,400 total. Some birthday money. One emergency loan of $800 they made me pay back with interest. Occasional groceries when I was really struggling in college. But it wasn't just the money. It was everything else. Madison's achievements were celebrated like national holidays. My promotion to senior account coordinator was acknowledged with a text that said, "Good for you." Madison's birthday parties were events planned months in advance. Mine were forgotten until the day of, then they'd suggest we grab lunch somewhere cheap. When Madison got engaged to her boyfriend Trevor, my parents cried tears of joy and immediately started planning the wedding. They offered to pay for everything, started touring venues, talked about it constantly. When I mentioned I'd been dating my boyfriend Jason for 2 years, my mom said that's nice and went back to discussing Madison's wedding colors. That's when something inside me broke. Not dramatically. Just quietly. Like a door closing that would never open again. I started planning my exit. I got a job offer in Denver. Senior marketing manager position, salary of $78,000. I accepted without telling anyone. I spent 2 months preparing everything. Found an apartment in Denver and signed the lease remotely. Arranged movers. Changed my address with every service and account. Methodically separated myself from Portland. And I wrote the note. I didn't want to write a long letter like some goodbye manifesto. I wanted something short. Something they couldn't misinterpret or argue with. Something undeniably true. The note was 1 page. It said, "I'm leaving Portland and I won't be coming back. I'm writing this so you understand why. In the past 10 years, you've given Madison $420,000 and me $5,400. You've attended every one of her events and missed most of mine. You've celebrated her constantly and barely acknowledged me. You made me feel invisible in my own family. I'm done trying to earn a place that was never really available. You have the daughter you always wanted. I hope you're happy together. Don't look for me. Avery. I left it on the kitchen counter on a Tuesday morning while they were at Madison's dress fitting. I'd told them I couldn't come because of work. Really, I was loading the last of my boxes into a moving truck. By the time they found the note that evening, I was in Wyoming, halfway to Denver. I turned off my phone for 4 days. I didn't want to see their reactions. I just wanted quiet and distance and the chance to start over somewhere they couldn't find me easily. When I finally turned my phone back on, I had 127 missed calls. 93 text messages. Countless voicemails. Most were from my parents, but several were from Madison. I didn't listen to my parents' messages. I deleted them without reading or listening. But Madison's messages were different. Angrier. More insistent. Her texts said things like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" and "You can't just leave a note and disappear like a child and mom is devastated." I ignored them all. Then at 2 a.m. 4 days after I'd left, my phone rang. Madison. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. "This isn't real." She was shouting before I even said hello. "You're lying. None of this actually happened." "Hello to you too, Madison. Don't hello me. What is this insane note you left? Accusing mom and dad of favoritism? Making up numbers about money? Playing victim?" "I didn't make anything up." "Yes, you did. You're claiming they gave me $400,000? That's ridiculous. You're exaggerating to make yourself look like some poor neglected child." "I'm not exaggerating. I have documentation of every dollar." "You're delusional. You need therapy. You remember our childhood completely wrong." "I remember it exactly right." "No, you don't. Mom and Dad treated us the same. They love us both equally. You're twisting everything because you're jealous of my relationship with them. Madison, they paid for your entire college education while I worked night shifts to afford community college. That's not twisting anything. That's fact. They helped according to our needs. I needed more support. You needed more support? Or they decided you were worth more support? This is insane. You're making them sound like monsters and they're not. They're good parents who did their best with both of us." I took a breath. I could keep arguing. I could try to explain. Or I could just show her. "Check your email, Madison." "What?" "Check your email. I just sent you something." I hung up and immediately sent her the file. 147 pages of documentation. Bank statements showing every transfer to her. Screenshots of Venmo payments. Photos of birthday parties where her gifts were expensive and mine were afterthoughts, with timestamps. The spreadsheet tracking every visit, every achievement acknowledged or ignored. Text messages between our parents discussing how to help Madison without me finding out. 3 years of proof, organized chronologically. I sent it with one line, "Since you think I'm making it up." She called back 30 minutes later. Her voice was different. Quieter. Shaken. "I'm looking at this file. And? I didn't realize they'd given me this much money. Now you know. But they were just helping me get established. They knew I was struggling in LA. And I wasn't struggling working full-time while going to school. I wasn't struggling with student loans you never had to worry about. I didn't ask them to treat us differently. Yes, you did. Every time you called them crying about being broke, every time you let them pay your rent, every time you accepted money without thinking about whether I was getting the same, you were asking for it. That's not fair. What's not fair is spending your entire life watching your parents give everything to your sister while you get nothing. What's not fair is working yourself to exhaustion while she gets funded to find herself. What's not fair is being told you're delusional when you point out something that's objectively, documentably true. Silence on the line. "Avery, I don't know what you want me to say." I don't want you to say anything. I'm not calling for an apology or explanation. I'm just done pretending we're a normal family. Where are you? Somewhere you can't find me. Are you coming back? No. Ever? Ever. You're really going to throw away your whole family over this? I'm not throwing anything away. I'm walking away from people who never really saw me as part of the family to begin with. I hung up and blocked her number. Then I blocked my parents' numbers. Every email address, every social media account, everything. Complete cutoff. Over the next few weeks, they tried other ways. Emails from different accounts that I immediately blocked. Messages through distant relatives I barely knew. My mom somehow got my work number and called, so I had to ask HR to block calls from my family. My dad sent a certified letter to my new address, though I still don't know how he found it. The letter said I was being unfair and overdramatic, that I'd always been too sensitive, that they'd done their best with limited resources and I was punishing them for loving Madison. I didn't respond. There was no point. 2 months after I left, I got an email from an account I didn't recognize. Subject line, please read this, Madison. I almost deleted it. But curiosity won. Avery, I've been thinking about everything in that file you sent me. I showed it to Trevor. He was shocked. He pointed out things I never noticed, like how at my engagement party, Mom and Dad gave speeches all about me and never mentioned you're their daughter too. Or how they're paying for my entire wedding but you're not even invited because we're not speaking. I think I've been so focused on my own life that I didn't see what was happening to you. Or maybe I saw it but it was easier to pretend everything was fine. I don't know if this matters to you, but I looked back at our childhood and you were right. About all of it. The money, the attention, everything. I'm not asking you to forgive any of us. I just wanted you to know I see it now. Madison. I read that email 3 times. It was the closest thing to an acknowledgement I'd ever gotten. But it didn't change anything. Seeing the problem doesn't fix the damage. I didn't respond. For months into my new life, I was doing well. I'd gotten promoted at work. Made real friends who actually cared about me. Started therapy to process everything. My apartment was small but mine. My life wasn't perfect but it was real. Then I got a call from a Seattle number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. Is this Avery Mitchell? Who's asking? My name is Dr. Patricia Holmes. I'm a family therapist. Your mother asked me to reach out. I'm not interested in family therapy. I'm not calling to ask you to come to therapy. Your mother wanted me to let you know she's been working with me for 3 months processing everything you wrote in your note. Good for her. She asked me to tell you that she understands now why you left. She's not making excuses anymore. She sees how she treated you differently. That's great. Is that all? She also wanted you to know she's created an account in your name. Money to try to balance what she should have given you over the years. She doesn't expect this to fix anything. She said she just wants to correct the financial inequality, even if she can't fix the emotional damage. I don't want her money. She thought you might say that. The account exists whether you access it or not. That's your choice. Anything else? She said she's sorry. And that if you never speak to her again, she understands why. The therapist hung up. I sat there staring at my phone feeling absolutely nothing. Later that day, I got an email with account information. A savings account with $412,000 in it. Almost exactly what they'd given Madison. I didn't touch it. Didn't need it. I'd built my life without them. But something about that account existing felt like vindication. Like finally, someone was admitting I'd been right all along. A year after I left, Madison got married. I saw photos on social media through mutual acquaintances. My parents gave speeches. Cried happy tears. Celebrated their daughter. I wasn't there. Wasn't invited. Wouldn't have gone anyway. Looking at those photos didn't hurt. They were strangers now. 2 years after leaving, I got engaged to Jason. He'd moved to Denver 6 months after I did, and we'd built something real together. His family was warm and actually functional. They treated me better in 6 months than my biological family had in 27 years. We got married in a small ceremony in the mountains. Just close friends and Jason's family. It was perfect. Nobody from my biological family knew about it. I never told them. Why would I? 3 years after leaving that note, I got a LinkedIn message from my dad. His last resort for contact since I'd blocked everything else. Avery, I don't expect a response. I just want you to know that your note destroyed me. Not because you were cruel, but because you were accurate. I failed you every day of your life. I have 2 daughters and I only really knew one of them. Your mother and I are working on understanding what we did. But I know we can't fix it. I just wanted you to say I finally see it. I finally see you. Even though it's too late. Dad. I left it on read. Didn't respond. There was nothing to say. Now, 5 years after I left that note and disappeared, I'm 32 years old. I live in Denver with my husband. I have a career I love, friends who show up, a life built entirely without my family's help. I have no relationship with my parents or sister. Madison sends me a message every year on my birthday. Happy birthday. I think about you. I never respond. Maybe she's genuinely sorry. Maybe not. Either way, it doesn't matter. My parents stopped trying to contact me after that LinkedIn message. They finally understood that the note wasn't an invitation to talk. It was a goodbye. Sometimes people ask if I regret it. If I think about reconciling. If I miss them. The answer is always no. You can't miss people who never really saw you. You can't reconcile with people who spent 27 years proving exactly who they were. That note was 1 page. 106 words. But it was the truest thing I ever wrote. And when Madison shouted "This isn't real," she meant she didn't want it to be real. She wanted me to be wrong. Exaggerating. Making it up. But I forced her to see the truth. With that note. With that evidence file. With my permanent absence. And whether that changed her or my parents doesn't matter. Because I didn't do it for them. I did it for me. For every version of myself that tried so hard to be seen and never was. That note set me free. Walking away set me free. And I'd do it again without a second thought. Because here's what I learned: family is who shows up. Who celebrates you. Who treats you like you matter. My biological family failed at that for 27 years. My chosen family succeeds every single day. The note I left wasn't meant to destroy them. It was meant to free me. And it did. Have you ever left a note and walked away? Have you been called a liar when you told the truth about your family? Have you had to prove with documentation that you weren't making it up? Share your stories below. Let's talk about the moment you chose proof over gaslighting. If this story moved you, hit the like button and subscribe for more stories about forgotten children who finally had enough. Share this with someone who needs to hear that you don't owe explanations to people who refuse to see you. And remember, when someone shouts "This isn't real," it's because they don't want to face what is real. Your truth doesn't need their acceptance. It just needs your freedom.